As Business Advisor Global, we are always planning to share the insights of business. So, when we are talking about the insights of the business, the history of the business is really, really important. So, since we are operating in Sri Lanka and Maldives, we thought actually we need to find out how the history of these two countries with regard to the businesses, how they have started the business, and what is the relationship that we are having, and how the history of Sri Lanka is connecting to the Maldives. For that, actually, we were lucky enough to join with a meeting which was held in Colombo on 2024. This is actually a Sri Lanka Maldives Business Council meeting. For that meeting, as the guest speaker, Professor Raj Somadeva, Senior Professor of Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology of University of California, has joined with this conversation. So in this discussion, the professor is explaining how the history of Maldives is linked with Sri Lanka and the other countries as well. So I kindly invite all of you to watch this video to get the insights of both countries, Sri Lanka and Maldives, especially how the history has evolved.
It is fascinating to consider the deep historical ties held between Sri Lanka and the Maldives. The relationship between the two countries, two islands, likely involved exchanges in trade, culture, and even religious practices, given their proximity and shared maritime history. The lack of thorough documentation now, scholarly focus on this connection is indeed a missed opportunity, as understanding these ties could offer valuable insights into the broader history of the Indian Ocean region. The Maldives' rich history, with its own unique language and script, indeed present a fascinating and unexplored area of study. The Divehi language and Tana script, as you see in this slide, are key cultural elements that have persisted over centuries, reflecting the distinct identity of Maldivian people. The mystery surrounding their early history, for example, how they navigated influences from South Asia, the Arab world and beyond, offers a rich field of exploration. Sri Lanka and the Maldives, two islands, nations situated in the Indian Ocean, share a historical relationship shaped by geographical proximity, trade and cultural exchange. This relationship, though often overshadowed by the more prominent interaction of these nations with other regional powers, reflect a rich tapestry of shared heritage and mutual influence. The historical relationship between Sri Lanka and the Maldives date back to ancient times when maritime trade routes connected these islands with the broader Indian Ocean world. Archaeological evidence suggests that trade between Sri Lanka and the Maldives was established as early as the 3rd century BC. The Maldives, with its strategic position along the trading routes, was an important hub for the exchange of goods such as spices, textiles, and precious metals. Sri Lanka's ancient ports and cities, such as Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa, were integral to this trade network. The Maldivian archipelago, with its numerous atolls, provided a crucial waypoint for traders journeying between India, Arabia, and Southeast Asia. This trade not only facilitated the exchange of goods, but also cultural and religious interactions, which would shape the historical narrative of both nations. The Maldives, a chain of 26 atolls and over 1,000 coral islands in the Indian Ocean, is often recognized today for its predominantly Islamic identity. However, The rich cultural and religious tapestry of the Maldives before the advent of Islam reveals a diverse and intricate history. Understanding the pre-Islamic era of Maldivian culture and religion provides insights into how the island's historical interactions and indigenous practices shape their modern identity. The history of human settlements in Maldives dates back over 2000 years. Archaeological evidence suggests that the islands were inhabited as early as the 3rd century BC. Early Maldivians were likely Austroasiatic speaking people who were skilled navigators and seafarers, similar to other maritime cultures of the Indian Ocean region. The Maldives' strategic position along ancient maritime trade routes facilitated interaction with various cultures. Traders from India, Arabia, and Southeast Asia visited the islands, contributing to the island's diverse cultural landscape. The influx of goods and ideas influenced local practices and beliefs, creating a rich mosaic of cultural influences. The exchange of ideas and beliefs was a significant aspect of the relationship between Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Buddhism, which flourished in Sri Lanka from ancient times, had a profound influence on the Maldives. Although the Maldives is predominantly Muslim today, historical records indicate that Buddhism was practiced in the Maldives before the arrival of Islam. Hinduism had a notable presence in the Maldives as well, especially from the 5th century to 12th centuries. The influence of Hinduism in the Maldives can be traced to its spread from the Indian subcontinent. Hindu temples and shrines, though now mostly lost, are believed to have been part of the religious landscape of the Maldives. Hindu deities and rituals were integrated into local beliefs and practices, reflecting a syncretic fusion of Indian religions, traditions with indigenous Maldivian elements. The Maldivian islands were part of the broader Buddhist cultural sphere of South Asia. Buddhism also played a significant role in the Maldivian before the arrival of Islam, as I said before. The transition from Buddhism to Islam in the Maldives, which occurred in the 12th century AD, was influenced by the spread of Islamic merchants and missionaries from the Arabian Peninsula and India. Sri Lankan Buddhism, with its rich tradition of influence, was part of the broader religious landscape of the Indian Ocean, contributing to the diverse religious milieu of the Maldives. Archaeological findings, including ancient stupas, statues, and inscriptions, point to the presence of Theravada Buddhism in Maldives. The island of Fenju, in particular, has yielded artifacts such as Buddha statues and inscriptions in Brahmi script, further evidence in the Buddhist influence. It was not until 1922 that definite archaeological evidence of the pre-existence of Buddhism in the island was discovered. Excavation conducted in the southern Maldives by H.C.P. Bell, the first archaeological commissioner of neighboring Sri Lanka during the early 1920s, remains the only professional archaeological investigations ever undertaken in the country. Since that time, however, a number of officially sponsored indigenous investigations have taken place, and several chance discoveries during construction works, etc., have similarly been made. As a result of these purely Maldivian findings, none of which have been formally published abroad, it is becoming apparent that elements of Hindu beliefs as well as Buddhism were present in pre-Islamic Maldivian society. Because of the spatial constraints of my today's speech, I have no time to elaborate in detail of the findings and detail of the architectural features found in Maldives. Bell's detailed report is already available in published form in English. It's a very rare publication. So very few copies are available in Sri Lanka as well. Greater attention will be paid to the finding of more recent Maldivian expeditions whose reports remain unpublished or published on locally and in Divayi language. So the Divayi script, the Maldivian script called Divayi script, so very similar characteristics with the 12th century Sinhala script in Sri Lanka, especially the copperplate grant issued by the King Vijayabhau I. The script used to write that copperplate inscription has a very similar characteristics with the 12th century script used in Maldivian islands called Divayi script. After H.C.P. Bell's work, an expedition by Adam Nasir Manikur to the Fort Mullah in 1948 was initiated. It was the first officially approved Maldivian excavation work, placed in 1948 at the behest of Muhammad Amin Dibi, the former Home Minister and the subsequently President of the First Maldivian Republic. Amin Dibi sent Adam Nasir Manikur to excavate the stupa, locally known as Havitak, on the island atoll of Fort Mullah, which had been briefly examined by H.C.P. Bell during 1922. So you can see the ruins of Buddhist stupas in Maldives. We believe there are more to find. The Buddhist influence in the Maldives was likely facilitated by maritime trade and cultural exchange with regions where Buddhism was practiced, such as Sri Lanka and India. The spread of Buddhism in the Maldives paralleled its rise in neighboring regions and contributed to the island's cultural and religious development. The spread of Islam in Maldives involved the gradual replacement of pre-Islamic religious practices with Islamic beliefs and practices. While Islamic influence became dominant, some elements of the pre-Islamic culture and religious heritage persisted in modified forms. This syncretism is evident in certain local customs and practices that have retained vestiges of pre-Islamic traditions. So you can see the various type of ancient stupas probably constructed during the 6th and 7th centuries in Maldivian islands. So I think His Excellency, to promote this pre-Islamic religious and cultural landscape in Maldives will greatly benefit the tourism industry. So a lot of Buddhists are expecting to visit Maldives when it gets ready for the presentation. So I think the business community has a responsibility to facilitate and enhance this new relationship on cultural matters. It's very important. I think it will benefit both countries. So Sri Lankans are very familiar with the Maldivian people since last 2 centuries, especially in the southern areas. We had a maritime archaeology project started in 1990s. So during that project, so we got very good collection of documents and some artifacts that confirms the interrelationship we maintained between Maldives and Sri Lanka during the 18th century AD. From ancient maritime trade roots to contemporary diplomatic and economic cooperation, the interactions between these two island nations reflect a shared history that has evolved over centuries. As both nations navigate the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century, their historical ties continue to provide a foundation for future collaboration and mutual understanding. I hope, as professionals, as business people who engage in businesses, have a responsibility to convince the governments of both countries about the significance and the applicability to enhance the understanding between our two nations via the cultural ties and cultural relationships. Thank you very much.